Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Games Matter event today for December 6, 2014. I am MegapiemanPHD, and today I am going to be talking to David Welch of Experimental Gamer Studio about their game, Boot Hill Heroes. How you doing today, David?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I've been really looking forward to this.
All right, so why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do at Experimental Gamer Studio?
Okay, I'm David. I'm the co-creator and programmer, artist, and writer behind Boot Hill Heroes. Should I tell you a little bit about the game?
Sure.
Well, Boot Hill Heroes is a Wild West retro RPG. It has sort of a different kind of combat system that takes place in real time, and it's up to 4 players local co-op. And this is the first out of a 3-game series.
Now, I didn't realize this game actually had local co-op, but that's interesting to hear for the kind of game that it actually is. It's a turn-based RPG game. You don't usually see something like that with a co-op functionality.
Yeah, it's a little different. You could kind of imagine how it might work because you've played with multiple characters at this point, right?
Yes, I've played with both the kid and the lady character you pick up a little bit later.
Yeah. All you do is you can assign characters to input devices, and then they can control that character in battle. And because there's not really turns as much, there's commands, but there's not really turns. You just put in whatever command you want at any point. You don't have to switch back and forth between the players.
Now, Boot Hill Heroes is actually in a Western theme, which is kind of interesting because you don't see a lot of games in that theme for some reason. And I don't really know why a lot of people just don't decide to go for the sort of a Western idea, but there is actually a couple games that I've come across in the past. There was a RPG game, and there was even an arcade game called Boot Hill Heroes. Well, not Boot Hill Heroes, but just called Boot Hill in general. Is Boot Hill Heroes kind of inspired by either of those?
Well, they were both inspired by the actual Boot Hills of the Wild West. The Boot Hill was a cemetery where they buried people who died with their boots on, meaning that they were shot or killed while standing. So they would bury them at the edge of town, and they'd call those places Boot Hill or Boot Hill cemeteries.
I apologize for the people in chat, but it's been a little bit since I played this game, and it's got some strange controls on the keyboard. And I'm trying to remember exactly how to do everything. Now, we did get into some combat here, and the combat system is very, very unique in Boot Hill Heroes when it comes to an RPG, because most turn-based RPGs are that. They are turn-based. Your enemy has a turn, and then they'll do some damage to you. You have a turn, and you do some damage to them. But Boot Hill Heroes is very different in which it's not completely turn-based.
Yeah, you have basically a power bar that's in blue there, and that generates in real time, and then you have these commands, and you can choose a command. If you have enough power, it'll do the command. If not, then it'll just put it as charging, and it'll do it automatically when you do have enough power.
Right. And you can actually pause the battle while you're going through it. So like right now, I've actually paused the battle, so I have time to pick what commands I want to do, and then when I want to do them. And it's actually interesting because depending upon which attack or which defense, like dodging out of the way, you're doing, you have to wait different amounts of times. And not only can you see how long it takes for you to do your attacks, but you also can see how long it takes for your enemies to do their attacks. Is this kind of a system that you guys came up with on your own, or did you get any kind of inspirations or ideas from it from other games?
I came up with it by trying to come up with a system that would be a lot of fun for co-op. Because when you play with co-op, you don't have to wait. You can select any command you want, and you can cancel it, choose another one. It actually is a lot of fun to see 4 people playing at once with 4 different characters. So it was designed around that idea, but it still works pretty well with single player. Oh, you died.
Yes, I did. I unfortunately was taken down because I had forgotten the controls and took a crap ton of damage. Which is one of the things that is a little bit against Boot Hill Heroes, is that even though it's got an interesting combat system, its keyboard controls aren't really super intuitive, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I've had
they're a little
some
bit
people
different.
tell me that before, and you can actually change them from the options menu.
Oh, you can. Oh yeah, it's right there. Any keyboard controls and gamepad controls. And unfortunately, your game's kind of got a very strange windowed mode as well. So the game might be a little bit stretched out just because I had to make it larger to make it fit the screen on Twitch. But hopefully it still works pretty well. There's actually a lot of options here with battle speed, text speed. So that's really cool to see.
You should be able to change the screen size as well. Some people say that it's supposed to show up as full screen by default, but some people say that it doesn't, but they can change it to from the options. So I don't know if that'll help you.
Well, that seems to be all right for right now. So Boot Hill Heroes actually started as a Kickstarter. You want to talk a little bit about how your experience went through that?
Sure. It was a pretty early Kickstarter in hindsight. It was back in like early 2012, May of 2012. And the Kickstarter was specifically for music and sound effects. This was when Kickstarter was still kind of new, and didn't know what people would think of it. So it's like, well, we have enough resources to make the rest of the game. We do not have the resources to make music and sound effects. It's just outside of our area. So the Kickstarter was specifically for that. And so I guess that was enough to get the notice of Jake Kaufman, who did the music for Shovel Knight and Double Dragon Neon, Retro City Rampage, and he really liked the theme and it, so we got him on board with that Kickstarter. That was the big takeaway from that.
I didn't realize that Jake Kaufman was actually behind the soundtrack for Boot Hill Heroes. Jake Kaufman's got some really fantastic tracks with the stuff he's done with Way Forward technology.
Oh, yeah.
So, if anybody has any questions in chat, feel free to write them in chat, and I will try to read them and pass them on to David while we're talking here about the game. But a lot of people say that this game reminds them a lot of his, like, the Mother series. So, is it really, like, did you go for that on purpose, or is that just something that kind of happened as development went on?
It's more like I grew up playing those games and other classic RPGs, so it's sort of an amalgamation of different things I liked about games growing up, and one of the things I really liked about other series is this oblique projection, they call it. You can see it here, where you can see the front and the sides of buildings. Mm-hmm. And so few games do that, and I always was disappointed that no games would, so I really wanted to use that style. Also, there's something in the way the sprites are done. I can't recall off the top of my head, but I think the fact that they have noses is really unique as far as what sprites look like in retro RPGs. Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of retro RPG sprites, for the most part, they're extremely basic when it comes to overworld, and they might be a little bit more in depth when it comes to the actual battle scenes. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that you guys decided to go in depth with both the overworld characters and the battle scene characters, but there's still a lot of. I'm gonna die here again.
Hey, you're in trouble.
Okay, I gotta get out of here. See, when you first come in this area, you've got a partner to help you out. So there's two of you fighting people, and I kind of got used to that. And now that I don't have the other person with me, it's taken some getting used to that. I'm not quite as strong as I was before.
Hey, you're taking two on at once. It's 2 against 1.
Yeah, it's not a fantastic idea.
One thing I think that I want to stress about the battle is that because of that timing aspect, it's not only about which attacks you use, it's about when you use them. Because you have to kind of anticipate when your opponent's going to attack and be able to make decisions based on that. Should you cancel what you're going to do? Should you switch to a defensive stance or an evasion? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the thing that I really like about the Boot Hill Heroes battle system is it's the fact that everything's based around timing it's a lot more based around strategy. Something that I don't necessarily like a lot about turn-based strategy games and what I kind of happened with my experiences with like JRPGs is it was difficult to really come up with a good strategies for me with them just because everything was specifically turn-based and it was hard to decide what was the best time to do what for the different boss fights in there. And boss fights in those games could last forever. Mm-hmm. It is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, because Brutal Heroes doesn't have items, and healing is very rare in battle. So a lot of RPGs use what you call like a battle of attrition, where it's not just about dealing damage, it's about saving yourself and healing yourself. And this is more of a focus on dealing damage and minimizing the damage that you take through your stances.
Right. But you still got a pretty good... That's kind of goes into how you guys deal with items. Items are very, very different. You can still have items where you can buy items, you can sell items, you can find items, you can equip yourself with different items. But, like you were saying before, it's not really about trying to heal yourself or cure yourself from poison damage or anything like that. A lot of items out there are purely just for selling to make cash.
Yeah, you can sell them. Eventually you learn how to imbue your weapons by crafting them with different status ailments. But other than that, then you just sell them for money to buy better guns and armor and things like that.
Now, we do have a question from the chat from Fearless Fetal, who asks, how long is the game on average?
I would say it's between 9 and 12 hours. There's a lot of, varies a lot based on the size of the town. Some people will go straight to the objective. Some people will explore. This town you're in right here is pretty big. It takes about quite a while to just go around and talk to everybody, which you don't have to do. So it varies quite a bit, but that's about what I hear most of the time is between 9 and 12.
This is something I specifically like about this game. When you take out different enemies, it's not you killed whatever. It's like I just took out this bully in the town, and the ending sort of text you get is, you've made a positive influence in this young person's life by beating the crap out of them.
Yeah.
So
you couldn't just go around killing all these people. It was sort of, what do they call that? A ludonarrative dissonance problem.
Yeah, because it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Like, in the Old West, there were a lot of gunfights and that kind of a thing. But the Old West, there was also, like, a big thing about law enforcement, because it was trying to get law enforcement all over the place. So you couldn't actually fit in with the story of you trying to be the good guy, which you are in Boot Heel Heroes, and then going around and killing a whole bunch of enemies all over the place. That wouldn't really fit.
Sure, yeah. I tend to think of, like, combat as maybe like a metaphor of what might actually be going on in this situation.
So Boot Hill Heroes is also very, very story-oriented. And this is actually, when you start up the game, it says, like, Boot Hill Heroes Episode 1 or whatever, and you said it's about, the people usually say this game's about 9 hours long or so. How many episodes or parts of the entire story do you think there'll be?
I decided to split the game into 3 parts, just because it seemed like this one was already long enough at like 9 to 12 hours on average, that it gave us a better chance to, like, release one, get something out there, and then see what the feedback is, and then take that into the next part. And I think that's about how long people expect this sort of game to be these days. But yeah, it was originally just going to be 1 part, but it made a lot of sense to split it like this.
Has the game done well enough that you feel that you won't have to do something like Kickstarter for a sequel?
Oh no, I won't do another Kickstarter for the series. We got the music paid for, so that's what we wanted out of Kickstarter, and we got that.
Hello? Are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you hear what I said?
I thought Skype cut out there for a minute. I didn't catch the end of what you said.
Oh, I said that we won't do another Kickstarter because the Kickstarter was just for music, and we've gotten that all taken care of for the whole series. So we don't really need anything else from Kickstarter. It's just time. You need lots of time, but that's not something you can get through Kickstarter.
All right, well, that's good to hear that you were able to get pretty much everything you needed out of having only the 1 campaign.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I kind of ran out of questions already. We've gone through a lot of stuff. Yeah, I was.
Let's see where you are in the game so far. You're fighting these 2 bullies again. They don't always come at you at 2 at a time, but when they do, and you're just 1, that's a little tougher.
Yeah, I was hoping that the horse would back me up in this fight, and it's not. So, because I think at the point where I'm at in the game is I had to go get a job at a stable, so that's what I just did, and I got the horse carrying around. And the other characters that you have with you when you pick up the other character, like when you picked up the female character before, she follows you around just like the horse was following me around. So I was thinking that the horse would back me up here in the fight, and I wouldn't have to worry about it, but he's not. So now we got a bit of an issue.
In a way of how could a horse really help in battle? Does it fight something or kick something?
True.
I'm still, there may be something we'll see in part 2 here.
Part 2 is horse battling. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to hold you to that. All right, now let's see where exactly we need to go. So memories
You're getting clobbered. You're down again. Okay.
It's getting used to the battle system. It's getting used to the battle system, getting used to all the timing. Like we said before, timing is huge when it comes to Boot Hill Heroes. And even though you can see the timing of yourself, you can see the timing of the other people, everything's got to be about doing the right thing at the right moment, dodging at the right moment. And it's kind of tricky because when you're setting up for an attack, I can't go to dodge and charge attack at the exact same time. I have to do one or the other.
Yeah, but when you have the dodge stance active, then you could go to an attack.
Is that how it actually works? I can set up a dodge and then charge an attack at the exact same time?
Not the exact same time, but once you have the dodge active, then it stays on you for a while.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought that I could only do one or the other. And I apologize to ask you this, but where do I need to take this horse?
From what I see, you need to go to like the northeast part of town. It's a big house in the northeast.
That's another thing about Boot Hill Heroes. Boot Hill Heroes is very, very dialogue heavy, and it's not like some games where like the dialogue's there if you want extra lore. The game does have that, but a lot of the main stuff that you need just to get around and do the main quest, that's also very dialogue heavy as well. So if you're looking for backstory, lore, or just interested in the world of Boot Hill Heroes, it's there. There's a lot of it there. And I know there's a lot of people who get into that kind of stuff when it comes to RPGs or any games like that in general. So we do have a question here from chat. Memories and 8-Bit asks, are there any other influences for the game, such as movies, music, books, real-life experiences, anything like that?
Well, yeah, sure. A lot of movies, a lot of spaghetti westerns, like the Outlaw Josie Wales, the Dollars trilogy. A lot of the spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood from Italy were a big influence. What else could I say?
Well, I think I went the wrong way. I lost my horse.
You lost your horse.
I lost it. Is there any horse riding or anything in this game for a bit of fast traveling?
You're moments away. You got to take this horse to where he's supposed to go.
I'm trying to figure out where he's supposed to go, but I'm a little bit lost.
You need to go to the northwest part of town.
Northwest.
Just below the school.
Okay. Unfortunately, there isn't really a map that I've come across in Boot Hill Heroes so far. Unless there's like is there a map or a quest log or something like that?
No. Usually if you get lost, when you try to save your game, your dog will sort of tell you where to go. Yeah, this bully, I don't know how far behind you are, is sort of near the house.
There's about 30 seconds of lag between what you're going to be able to see on
Looks like you're going south.
You
need to go north.
Am I going south? I thought I was going north to go up, right? I'm not losing my mind here. I know my north from south. I can go up.
It's kind of a big house. There's a bully chasing you around. You just walked into the.
I'm at the. All right, I'm at the school.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's the right way. All right. Yeah, you had me scared there for a moment. I was afraid I confused north and south on live Twitch streaming. That would have been. All right.
Yeah, it's not the school, but it's the house that's kind of next to it, kind of down to the right.
Oh, it's the rich people house.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. All right, now I know. I can handle one guy. It's when you added more people into the game, but I really can't handle.
He's charging something big. Yeah, so you got to set your dodge on, and then you'll have a better chance of avoiding some of these bigger attacks. And if you avoid like an 8-power attack, that wastes most of his turns there.
So one of the really interesting things about Boot Hill Heroes is you went with the four main attacks. You only have 4 abilities that you can do at a time, but you can also switch those out just by pressing the correct buttons. Press Q to mount your horse. So we just unlocked the horse ability. All right, nice. Completely 4 horse abilities. As long as this game doesn't have horse armor, I think we'll be fine. Oh man, this guy talks a lot. Alright, Sundrop is...
Someone recently made me put in the option to change the text speed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that option if that suits your style.
Alright, I think we'll, it's on scroll for the moment, so...
Yeah, that's the slowest one. You can also just change it to automatic, which just it doesn't scroll out, it just comes out automatically at each stopping point.
Alright, for the sake of the stream, I'll put it on auto, so hopefully that'll be a little bit quicker. And if I can remember the buttons... One of these... There we go. We can bring up my menu, which allows me to look at both my stats for all my companions. Currently, I don't have any companions with me. We can see them. Currently level 4, Strength's 11, Dexterity's 13, Smarts is 13. Boot Hill Heroes is one of those games that deals with small numbers. When you come to some RPGs, like Final Fantasies, they deal with really big numbers all the time. Golden Sun was another one of those that deals with really big numbers all the time, whereas a game like the Mother series and Boot Hill Heroes, they deal with small numbers. Did you specifically want to go with the small numbers as opposed to Final Fantasy's kind of take on the thing?
Yeah, I was leaning more towards small numbers. I can't really recall the reason why, but it just feels right.
Ah, this is what you call them, vantages.
Maybe there's sort of certain humility in smaller numbers.
Yeah, because you have things like 2s and 3s, and you would never see anything with 3 in Final Fantasy. Everything's going to do like 5,000, 6,000, 11,000. Yeah. But the cool thing about the vantages is vantages are what you use for your attacking, but vantages, you don't necessarily get them from leveling up. You can get them just from wearing different equipment, with what I remember.
Yeah, it's from your hats. See the hat kid has on there? That's the Stetson hat. That'll teach you different vantages, but you eventually get other hats.
I'm all for that. I'm a man who likes hats. I play a lot of TF2.
Yeah, everybody talks about that when they hear about the hats.
Hats are very important, man. You can't go wrong with headwear.
Did you know you can push, if it's still the same Q and it tells you what everything does?
I can't ride my horse here. Okay. I think if I can pull up the menu again, remember the key for it. There it is. That's right. And then we enter the stats, and then I press Q. We'll get a bit of an idea of what's going on and all the things that I have equipped at the moment. Because you can equip a lot of things. You can equip, of course, you can equip your different vantages so you can do your different attacks, but you can also equip weapons. You can equip hats, pants. And you can even have something in your hands. Like currently I have pluckers equipped, which actually allows me to, when I find animals, if I talk to them, I'll not only annoy them, but I'll also sometimes be able to pick up an item from them.
Yeah, you can take feathers from chickens and I think rawhide from pigs and
there we go.
Sheep.
Now I got a horse.
Yeah, you have 4 things you can equip. Your weapon. All characters can equip hand weapons. It's kind of a spoiler, but eventually Kid gets small guns, and only he can use small guns. But all the other characters use a different kind of specialty weapon. But everybody can use hand weapons. All these boys are still after you, even though you've got a horse.
Yeah.
I guess they're jealous.
Your game has constant respawning enemies. When I first came into Sweeville, I believe that's what it's called. Swellville. I don't know why I said Sweeville. Swellville. When I first came into Swellville, I got to the school, and I saw that the teacher was kind of upset that all of her students were acting out all over the place because she gave them a teaching lesson based around bullying for some reason. But I thought that maybe if I beat all of them, I would be able to go back to the school. But unfortunately, no. They keep coming back. I'm going to have to flee. How do I flee?
You've got a horse now, you can get away pretty fast. If you hold spacebar down, you can flee.
There we go. Okay. So yeah, you can get away pretty fast. Now, if I had other party members with me, would they need their own steeds to get away, or would everyone be able to travel with me?
They all have their own horses.
Okay, and do they automatically have their own horses, or would I have to go through missions to like unlock horses for every single one, which could be a little bit annoying.
They come to you with their own horses, except for Moon, who rides an antelope.
An antelope. All right, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
I should give you maybe a save file where you can start the game at a different point if you want to see some other parts of it.
Well, we can do that if you want to quickly send that through Skype. Just tell me where you want me to put it, and we can check that out.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, let me just find the hotel. I do kind of wish you would add some sort of a map system because I'm having a hard time always trying to remember what each building is. Some of them are labeled and some of them aren't. Like I think this is the okay. This is the hotel. Right.
Are you going to the saloon?
Yeah, I'm gonna go chat with the dog because dogs speak like people. It makes perfect sense.
I can give you a save game that's toward the end where you have all 4 characters. It would be very overwhelming for you at first, though.
That depends upon what you want to show off. Yeah, if you're worried about spoilers or anything like that.
Yeah, I could show you that. I don't think that would spoil much.
All right, so let me pull up my folder here for Steam apps, and once I get that, we can put that in and see what's going on there. Boot Hill Heroes. All right, which folder do I need to put that in? Would that be under content or common Redist?
Sorry, what are you trying to do?
I'm just wondering where would I need to put the save file.
So if you open up Documents, you should see a folder called Saved Games. Just the Documents on your...
It's not in the Steam folder.
No.
All right. Let's see if we can do this here quickly. There it is. Saved games. Boot Hill Heroes.
Yeah, you should see any save files you have in here. I just need to give you one. You can drop it in there, and then you can load it.
Will I need to restart the game?
I think so, yes.
Okay. So give us a moment here.
I'm not actually sure.
Give us a moment here, chat, while we quickly get this set up for you guys.
You may not need to. I don't know. I can't think of... I'm not sure yet. We're sort of doing a hack of the save files.
Live hacking. That's what you get here on GamesMatter. You get
in fact,
live hacks.
These are all XML files. I don't know if I should say this, but you can open them up, and it's pretty clear what all the data means, and you can edit it to your liking and make yourself level 1000 or whatever you want.
So what was Boot Hill Heroes made in? It's not an RPG Maker game, is it?
No, it was just made from scratch using the XNA library back when they were still Xbox Live Indie games because it's been in production so long. But fortunately, that'll work for PC, and then I used Monogame to port it to the PlayStation Vita, or PlayStation Mobile, actually.
XNA, that's going back a ways. What made you decide to use that instead of something else?
Ignorance. I don't know. I heard good things about it at one point, and I heard there was a good support for it, and I saw people making games in that, so that's what I went with. I think if I could go back in time, I would have maybe done Unity or something that's lasted here.
Well, you say that you've been working on a Chapter 2 and or Chapter 3 at some point in the future. Do you plan on doing those in a different... Are those going to be different games, or are they going to be an update to the game that's already out?
Yeah, it's just an update. This continues the story. There are some things, some of the mechanics of the game I'd like to change and try a few different things I'm thinking about, but it's essentially the same game with just more story and, of course, more areas to go to. And
so would that be sold as like a DLC for the Boot Hill Heroes that already exists, or would that be a separate executable file?
It'd be a separate one. It'd be considered a sequel, and if all goes well, you should be able to carry your save data over as well.
All right. The reason why I bring that up, is because you were talking about how you made it in XNA, and XNA is not really a format that's supported at all. I don't think at all
No.
anymore. So I was wondering if you were thinking about making Chapter 2 and or Chapter 3 on a different engine.
No, just because this works, and it works for all the platforms that I needed to bring it to. So there's not much reason to change at this point.
Mm-hmm. That does bring up a good point, because if you were to change to this point, you'd kind of have to remake just about everything.
Yeah, yeah. And the good news about people who want to play the whole series is that the second one is moving very quickly, because it's not a whole new game. It's made from scratch. This game was made from scratch over several years, and the next one is just more content. And considering all that I do, creating content for the game doesn't take up as much time as building the engine from scratch and porting and fixing bugs, marketing, and then I don't have to do those things over again. So I'm expecting the next one to not take very long at all to produce.
Well, you were saying that you were thinking about changing up the battle system a little bit. What were you thinking of changing in it to maybe improve it, or to make it maybe a little bit more complex or a little bit simpler?
I might add a few bells and whistles. I was thinking of changing the way you learn vantages to make it feel a little bit more like job classes.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to play a little bit more to see how it kind of works in this one, because you learn all these vantages, but you can only have 4. And what players tend to do is they like that they can learn more, but they eventually, sometimes they don't, they stick with what they know works.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do that, they don't get a chance to like play different styles of playing. And so I want to think of a system that kind of gives them more variety, or gives them more incentive to mix it up more.
Now, did you at any time think about making Boot Hill Heroes more of a more of a class-based game? Because a lot of games, a lot of RPG games, not necessarily a whole bunch of the older ones, but a lot of RPG games, like you start the game, you pick your class, you create your character, and then you kind of go from there. But Boot Hill Heroes, it's got a specific story and a specific path that you always have to follow. Is that is that what you had specifically in mind when you were developing the game?
Yeah, the story is very linear. As far as what you're saying about classes, the idea is that you can kind of invent your own character classes based on the advantages you learn. You can set someone up to be kind of the healer, or someone to be the tank, or mix it up. You could even create a character that only knows stances. There are some stances that help the party, so they could just not do any attacks and just do party buffs and healing, things like that.
Well, that's interesting to hear. One of the things I was also wondering is, earlier when you were talking about how you were able to get a gun later on in the game, if that would be something that you can use outside of combat to maybe get the drop on enemies before you have to fight them. Because from a lot of the stuff that I've played so far, enemies, once they see you, they'll kind of chase you down until you're either able to maybe get behind a building or something to block their pathing, or before they fight you. So they're always initiating the fight. So would having a gun allow you to maybe initiate the fight from a distance?
You can't do that right now, but that's an idea worth considering.
Just be sure to put my name in the credits.
Did you want me to send you this save file? Are you waiting for that right now?
Yes.
Okay. How should I send it to you? How do you send something on Skype? Let's see here.
I think you said you were using over your phone, so that might be a little bit difficult.
Well, I'm talking to you on my phone, but I still have my...
You should just be able to press the plus button. If you go up to the blue area on Skype, if you press the plus button and then click on send files, you can then pick the file.
Ah, here we go. Maybe. No. Well, it's embarrassing that I can't figure it out. Let's see.
So we'll take this time to inform you guys that Indie Gamer Chick will be doing a giveaway of Boot Hill
There it
Heroes,
is.
and I
Sorry
think
about
she
that.
might have already started it over her Twitter, and she's got like 50 keys for the Steam version and 10 keys for, I believe you said it was the Xbox version. Was that right?
Yeah, I sent 10 for that, for the version on Xbox Live Indie Games.
So if you would like a chance to get a copy of Boot Hill Heroes, then be sure to contact her over Twitter. It is a first-come, first-served basis. It's not a contest, but we do ask that if you enjoy the game, please do put it out there either on Twitter or on Facebook, or tell your friends, Instagram, Morse code, smoke signals, whatever, to let people know that you enjoyed the game. And that it is, it's a good game out there. So basically, if you do get a copy and you like the game, tell people that you liked it. Help spread the word about it. All right, let me paste this code into here. Level 15.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And
Hopefully that's not some crazy test file where things will go nuts. But...
We'll find out. Now, that save file, it said it was on Kickstart Creek, which is an interesting place because that's actually completely based off of your Kickstarter backers, from what I remember.
Yes, mostly. We had one prize for like $1,000. You could get your own town in the game. You'd call it Kickstart Creek. That was purchased by Fraser from Video Games Awesome. So he is the mayor of that town. He has his own little side quest. And a lot of the backers are in Kickstart Creek, but not all of them. I'm not sure if everyone who plays the game realizes this, because it's not super obvious in some ways. Although some characters do say some things that are kind of strange.
This cat has a hat. That's
yes,
adorable.
everyone in this town, all the animals have to wear hats.
Also, thank you for this save file. You got me a Steve achievement, and the horse has a hat too. That is beautiful. Actually, the first time I heard about your game was on the Video Games Awesome live stream. So that's cool to see that they actually got really behind your title.
Yeah, I'm hoping they'll sit down and play it soon. Because there's so many people from that group that are in the game that I'm sure they'll get a kick out of seeing that.
Even the chickens have hats on. That's amazing. That's the most amazing thing I've seen in a while.
It's part of a subplot. You can see how, like, Kid now has a different kind of hat on, because this is later in the game. He's got different ones, and you've got other party members with their own hats.
Right, and we can actually change all the stats for everybody else, so we can change to see what they have equipped and their advantages and all that kind of stuff. So not only do you gain different advantages depending upon your beautiful headwear, but the same thing happens for anyone else in your party.
Yes. Everybody has their own unique set of hats, so they learn their own set of advantages.
There are currently 4 people in my party right now. Are there more party members that exist? You just can't necessarily have more than 3 of them with you? Or are these the only ones?
No, it's just going to be these 4 for the whole adventure.
Right, as I was wondering, because sometimes you have party systems where you can actually switch people out when it comes to these kind of games. So, I have not gotten this far. You're kind of going to have to direct me as to where I need to go.
If you see a guy walking around that's kind of blue-looking, he will try to fight you.
Alright, looking for the blue guy. Sounds fancy.
I'm not sure yet, but if you go up in this area, or north...
I think I went down south, so I'll head back up.
Yeah, if you go up and stay on this map, you should see he's got a top hat, gray hair.
Oh, that guy!
You walk by him, yeah.
Okay. There we go. Now, the interesting thing about this is we've got our entire party here, so not only like before, when I only had one person with me, I could pause the game and then tell one person to fight all the time. You can actually control your people and pick what order you want them to do what in. So you have... It's an interesting game when it comes to RPGs, because you basically have full control over the battles.
Yeah, this will be very overwhelming for you. We haven't been trained at this point to handle 4 characters, so you'll be into that pause battle function a lot.
I do appreciate that pause battle function. Was that a function that you had originally had in mind, or that kind of developed through testing?
Through testing. I don't know if you just like a few days ago, I added another function where you can control the speed of battle as well. Because somebody said, oh, they like that they can pause it, but they wish they could just adjust the speed a little bit. So I said, well, that's not so hard to add, so that feature's in there too.
So Sketch Zero is actually bringing up about co-op. He's wondering if there is any kind of online co-op or plans for that at this time. At this time, you were saying earlier that there is some sort of local co-op, and since I actually have 4 people right now, if I had 4 people with me, everyone could be controlling a different character, which is actually it's you know, it's different. You don't really see that at all when it comes to RPGs.
Yeah, I wish you could try that out. There's probably some video of people doing that online. We bring it to a lot of cons and stuff, and it's a lot of fun to see like 4 people sit down and play it together. It actually works surprisingly well, more than I would have guessed. So I'm really happy about how it turned out.
Can they only control their characters in battle, or can they also control their characters out of battle when you're just walking around?
Well, outside of battle, you notice that when you bring up the menu, it only shows up above one character, the character that you're looking at their menu for. You can actually open up a menu for every character at once if there's people controlling them. So while one character is walking around, that's the lead character. The other players can actually bring up the menus of their characters and change their equipment or advantages or check out their stats or whatnot. So they can't walk around, but they still have something that they can do there.
And that doesn't pause the game or anything?
It doesn't pause the game at all, no. So you can actually have 4 different players opening up 4 different menus and micromanaging their characters all at the same time.
That's kind of cool. It reminds me a little bit of something like Borderlands.
Yeah, I don't think I've tried that part of Borderlands, but I assume so, sure. It looks like you're inflicting a lot of status ailments on this haberdasher.
I don't know, but I'm pressing buttons, and I haven't died yet, so...
You're doing okay.
That's about it.
Remember, you can push the Q button when your cursor's on something to see what it is.
Right. So you did talk about the co-op, but do you have any plans to try to make any kind of online co-op?
No, it's probably not likely just because it's just totally outside the scope of what I'm capable of. But, you know, if things are popular enough, then of course invest in that.
Are you the only person at Experimental Gamer?
At this point, yes. I mean, it's me doing the writing, designing, programming, and art, and we have a sound effects person and a music person. As you know, Jake.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so we have successfully defeated the fantastic haberdasher in his amazing, amazing hats. So, is there anything else that you specifically want to show off or talk about that we haven't covered yet?
If you go back up to the north map...
Even the pigs and sheep, that's a beautiful sight right there. That's just fantastic.
This town has a goofy problem regarding hats, as you can guess.
I love it.
I love it a lot. The mayor is the master haberdasher, and there's some sort of mystery going on.
You said to go back up.
Yeah, go across the railroad tracks, and you can actually use the train in this town. So we'll go somewhere else here.
Alright, so we'll head into the train station. I haven't got to a point where I use the train yet, so I'm not quite sure how to do that.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but it was broken in Swellsville. But by this point of the game, they got the train working again, so you can use the train. Yeah, you should see the train depot. If you go in there, you can buy a ticket.
Alright, yes, I'm at the train depot, but I think he said something about it being broken. Yeah, the train won't be running for a while. The track runs through Ashwood, and the attack last night damaged the line.
Well, what happened here is that you have a kind of crazy save file where your plot event is not where it's supposed to be. But when you get to this part in the game, you would have control over the train, but the plot thinks you're at a different point. Yeah,
because I'm still back where I was playing before. I hadn't actually got that done because with the Ashwood thing just happened, so... It's kind of having some save file issues, which I guess
Can I give you another save file?
We can try it. Let me just close up the game here. And we'll give it at least one more shot. Because you can't say we didn't try, you know?
They got to see a little bit of Kickstart Creek. They got to see a lot of town stuff in this preview here. A lot of big towns in the game.
How many towns are there? You said the game is like 9-10 hours long. So I mean, the game is pretty big. But is there a lot of backtracking?
No. You pretty much go linearly from town to town, forest, cave areas, and kind of at the end of the game, you sort of come back to Spellsville for a little bit. And when you get to like a town, it's sort of like your hub for that new area, and you access different parts off of that. I'd say that's sort of the flow of how it works.
Alright, so I apologize if this game looks a little bit strange now because it is in its full screen mode. I don't know if we're picking up that, but let's load up the level 16 circus save file. Is that it?
Yeah. Oh, I see. So when you start the game, it's actually bigger than your monitor screen?
The game always starts in full screen, but I gotta put it to medium for it to show up correctly in the live stream, because I don't have two monitors, so I gotta run everything off of one monitor. That means everything's got to be on windowed mode.
Okay.
Alright, so we are now in the circus area. That sounds a little bit loud, so let me turn the volume down just by a tad. Put that down to 3. And what was that you wanted to show off?
I just wanted to show this circus kind of area at one point of the game. You get caught up in this traveling circus here, and this is sort of like its own mini town. If you go to the southwest or just the south, you can find some odd-looking varmints to fight, if you want to see what that part's like.
Alright, we'll head over there.
I could have given you like an epic boss battle or something.
How long did it take you to put this game together? You mentioned that you've been working on it for a while.
It's been a few years. But the game is at a point where creating content for it is much faster now. So I'm at a point where it's really exciting to actually make content for the game rather than make the engine for the game and all this really fundamental things.
All right, so let's take care of these scorpions here quickly.
Yeah, you can see this red word above them, Siphon Scratch I'm looking at. The reason you see that is because Kid currently has a perk, I think it's the Foreshadow perk or something, and that allows you to see what particular advantages the enemies are charging to do.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you can get different perks in the game and different wounds. You get perks by certain meals you can have. You can actually talk to people in town, and if they like you, and if you hear something good, then you get certain kind of perks from that. Has that happened to you in Swellsville?
I don't remember, but that's interesting to hear that there's a lot of ways to get all kinds of perks, and that means there's an advantage to looking at everything, talking to everybody. So that's kind of cool to see. A lot of stuff when it comes to that is based mostly around just background lore, and there's not necessarily a lot of reason to do that unless you're specifically after that kind of background lore. But giving it a specific reason for talking to everybody has a purpose, checking out everything has a purpose. That's really cool to see.
Yeah, you get a little bonus if you talk to the right people. I don't know if since you haven't had a party before, but if a character falls in battle, they get a wound, which is like the opposite of a perk. It's some sort of persistent status effect, like a broken arm or something that follows you through battles. And perks and wounds, you can get your wounds removed by a doctor, or they'll just wear off after so many battles. But you want to avoid them. Also, you might wonder, like, if you fall in battle, and like, how do you get brought back? I don't know if you've seen this yet, but if one character falls and there's still another character there, the character will start to auto-revive. And if you can sort of hold out long enough, that character will get back up.
So, is there spell or advantages that you can use? Because I know that there was the Moonlight advantage I could use to heal. I imagine there's something else you can use to revive somebody if they go down in a fight.
There is that as well, but if you don't have that, because you might not have that advantage, and then what are you going to do? But so if you don't have it, you can auto-revive. It takes longer. It's the equivalent of charging like a 20-power attack. It's the same amount of time. So then they'll auto-revive. But there are also advantages that you can make people come back up much faster.
it's kind of interesting because I almost want to say if there's any kind of items you can use, but your game isn't focused on items at all, and that's the biggest thing I could say about Boot Hill Heroes. Well, that's not the biggest thing, but that's one of the things that really helps Boot Hill Heroes stand out from a lot of RPGs out there, because you see, there's a lot of people who make RPGs and stuff like RPG Maker, and there's a good amount of them out there. People have been making RPGs and stuff for a very, very long time, and then you have a game like Boot Hill Heroes comes out that. It's still an RPG, but it does so many things that are so different from the other stuff out there. The only RPG that I can think of off the top of my head that's a little bit different from your basic run-of-the-mill idea is something like the Mother series and how it handles the countdown system for taking damage, so that you get hit, it'll slowly count down, and if you're able to take an enemy out before that countdown reaches 0, then your person is fine. Well, not fine, but they don't completely die. But outside of that, I can't say that there have really been a lot of RPGs that have really not stuck to the basic formula, and it's really cool to see that Boot Hill Heroes kind of just throws that out the window.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's basically, here's what I liked about RPGs. I want to keep this. Here's what I'd like to try. That's experimental. It's a little different. I'd like to try that, and mash them together and hope it all works out. I think you notice at this point in the game, you cause like status effects are much more common. I'd say they're a lot more common than most RPGs. You can see like you can stack multiple status effects on one enemy at once. I think you did that with the Haberdasher.
Right.
There's sort of a teamwork element to that because I don't think you have it now, but Kid learns like this gun attack called Star Shot, and it's more powerful for as many status elements the enemy has when you attack with them. So something that's fun I see people do when they play it with 4 players is like they try to set Kid up for like an amazing Star Shot by trying to poison the enemy, put him to sleep, catch him on fire, and just kind of break the record. I think there's actually an achievement on Steam if you can get like a 5-star 5-shot or 5-star Star Shot, then you get an achievement for that.
Is there a way to check what sort of illnesses or issues that your characters have, like the character gets poisoned or something? Because I've seen some of the scorpions that we're fighting were doing poison damage, but I didn't see anything that showed on the character if they had some sort of status effect on them.
If you have a status effect, it should show up right above your status window. Let's go back to footage on that one.
All right, we'll have to check that.
And when you have persistent status effects, if you want to know what they do, because then even I can remember sometimes, you can go to the your stat window and you can push the info button there, and it'll tell you.
Oh, I was seeing right there when I was fighting that I don't know what it was, that like animal thing, the pilfers, I suppose. When I was fighting them and I used the flame arrow, there was actually the fire arrow on them, so...
Yeah, you caught that one on fire, but they both ran away with your stuff, though.
Oh, they did take my stuff?
Yes, they're pack pilfers. They stole it and they ran away.
Is it to get that stuff back? Or is it going?
You would have to need to destroy them before they ran away.
Oh, I thought I had defeated them. I didn't notice that they actually ran off.
I'm not sure. I should mention this. I don't know if everyone can see it, but there's a white line on everybody's power bar. It's like a little sliver, and when the power reaches that line, they'll have enough power to do whatever attack they're planning to do. Does that make sense?
Right.
Did you already know that?
Yeah. Okay.
So that kind of helps you determine maybe the intensity of the attack, or know when they're going to attack. So like, now's the good time to see if I can get the dodge in before this thing hits me. Right. And other things like that. So it's some information to work with, but you've got instinct or something on as well, where you can see exactly what attacks they're planning. Right,
because this one over here on the right is...
Yeah, he's going to run.
So that's what that is, because it's all the white bar is all the way to the end, which means it's going to take a long time for that to charge.
He's almost there, though. If you had an advantage called Trip, that'll make enemies switch the attack they're planning and take some of their power away. But
I don't
this
think
guy
I have that, unfortunately.
I don't think you can catch him.
Yeah, he took some of my stuff and ran off. You
can finish up this other
filthy animal. Quite literally. So I imagine if you take them out before they run off, then you get your stuff back.
Yeah, you can get it back then.
But once they're gone, there's no way to chase them down or anything?
No. But because materials don't have, like, there's no mega elixirs, they're not going to steal anything that's completely irreplaceable or that's way too valuable.
We have a question here in chat from Blabble, who is asking if there is a run button on the town screen. I guess what he's saying is like a fast travel system to go back to a town.
If he means just to walk fast, no, but that's what the horse is for. You can ride the horse to go faster. If to get from areas to place, then you can use the train. That'll take you to the main hubs of the game world.
There's no way to kind of just like something like in Red Dead Redemption where you can camp for the night and then pick a location and it'll go there for you.
No, the world's not so big that you need that. You gotta pay a few bucks to take the train to get to the different towns.
Is it pretty expensive to use the train system?
No, not really.
It also brings up another question with money, since money is a big factor in Boot Hill Heroes. If one of your characters goes down, do they lose anything for that?
Nope.
Right. Because I know if your entire party dies, then you have to restart the last checkpoint.
If someone goes down, the bad thing that happens is they'll get a wound.
Mm-hmm. And that's someone that you can just heal up at like a doctor's office or something like that.
Yeah, but sometimes in the middle of the wilderness, there may not be a doctor around. Although there's also advantages that'll heal wounds, but they're really expensive power cost-wise.
Right. I know. I don't remember what her name is, but she's got the moonlight ability.
Yeah, that heals your health, at least. But there's a move called Patch Up, which is like an 8-power healing thing that just removes a wound that you might have. Mm-hmm. None of your guys have wounds right now. If you have enough wounds, like you have these spaces at the bottom. You see where that white circle is under Kid?
Right.
That's his instinct perk. That's where your wounds go as well. And if you don't have room for another wound, it'll just go over your perks. And if you can't take any more wounds, you actually don't get back up after battle.
Mm. All right, so that's something to keep in mind. There's a lot of things to keep in mind in Boot Hill Heroes. It's a pretty complex game.
But it boils down to don't die, to try to avoid damage.
Okay, maybe it's a little bit simpler. It boils down to don't die.
Yeah, just you don't have to know exactly about what the wounds do and how bad they are and how many you can survive. Just try not to get them, and you'll be set. That's the guiding rule there.
All right, well, I've definitely enjoyed my time with the game, and if anybody in chat would like to get themselves a copy of Boot Hill Heroes, be sure to talk to Indie Gamer Chick on Twitter. That is at Indie Gamer Chick. That is her Twitter. Be sure to talk to her. She's got a bunch of copies. We'll be giving them away until she runs out. But if you do get a copy of the game and you like the game, be sure to inform people that you liked it. Tell your friends, tell your Twitters, tell your Facebookers. Just get it out there and let people know that the game exists. Thank you for talking to me today, Daniel, about your... I called you Daniel, didn't I?
That's
I did.
okay.
Thank you for talking to me today, David, about your game Boot Hill Heroes. Is there anything specifically that you want to say or go over before I wrap things up?
Oh, gosh, I can only pick one thing. I don't know. I'll hang out in the chat and I'll answer any other questions anyone might have. I would love to say whatever.
You can say whatever you want. It's your time to chat.
Yeah, so I'll say that. So right now the game is on Steam. It just came out on Xbox Live Indie Games. It's on PlayStation Mobile, which includes PlayStation Vita and other Android-enabled devices. You have to go to the PlayStation Mobile store to find it, though. And there is some post-game content on the PlayStation Mobile version, and that content will eventually come as free DLC to the other versions as well.
All right, so I'll be looking forward to that. How much is the game, and where is it available?
It's 400, I think, Microsoft points on the Xbox Live Indie Games marketplace, and it's $8.99 on Steam. I think only $7.99 on PlayStation Vita. The There's a few. It's the same game. There's a few negatives and positives to each version. I think. I think the positive of the Xbox Live Indie Game one is that it's much easier to get the controllers together to play co-op. Most people don't have a lot of enabled PC game controllers and people around them to play the PC game locally.
Right.
So that's that advantage. The advantage of the PlayStation Mobile one is that it has some extra content. The disadvantage is that one is not co-op because you only have one screen there.
Right. Well, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Unless you were to set up some kind of online co-op. I don't see really how that could be possible.
Maybe someday. And Steam one, it has all the achievements. There's 52 achievements. There's one for each card in a deck. They're all deck card based. There's the trading cards and all the
Steam trading cards. You cannot go wrong with Steam trading cards.
The whole works with that version.
All right. So, do you have any contacts, Twitter, Facebook, anything like that people can use to keep track of you and the game?
Yes, they can follow me at Boothill Heroes on Twitter, and I hope people do. And I occasionally give out free games and do free raffles for it. So if you want to get the game for free, just follow me on there. And follow me anyway to keep in touch and hear what I have to say, and I want to hear what you have to say about the games and so forth. It's fun for me to talk about these things. And I really love feedback. As you can tell, like every time someone suggests, maybe the game should have this, and it somehow finds its way in the game. So anyone who has feedback, feel free to leave it in our discussion forums or just email me or whatever. Especially because, this is the first game in a series, so feedback is especially useful in knowing what to improve or change upon in the next game.
And just to cover WildStar JP's question here before we run out, the game is made in XNA, and the amount of people that worked on it is basically just David here, as well as someone who did the music and someone who did the sound effects. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I co-created it with my friend Ben. He's sort of the investor on it and helped me out at a lot of the conventions and helped to set up the business. But and I've got a lot of great testers too. There's Alex, and he's basically the same main one. But yeah, so I want to say there's a lot of people I should thank at least.
Well, thank you again, David Welch, for talking to me today, and thank you, viewers, for coming to watch the interview. If you are that interested in the interview today and would like to see more, we do interviews all the time with developers. Feel free to hit that follow button. That is right there on Twitch. We also have a YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/GamesMatter. Over there, we upload the interviews after they go live here. So if you miss one a week, or if you're new to the channel and would like to check out some of our previous interviews, head over there and you can check them out and maybe subscribe to it if you like what you see. Anyway, thank you again to everybody for having this great show today. Thank you to Indie Gamer Chick for doing the giveaway. I have been MegapieMan, and I will talk to you guys later.